on, Tsunami fans? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Making Waves podcast. I'm John Carlo Nadeau, and joining me now is the Director of Player Personnel, Jeff Nottingham. Jeff, thanks so much. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice sunny day out and spring day, and it's looking good out here.
Can't complain. Perfect weather for some Tsunami hockey, and we're going to talk about that too. So certainly very nice. Jeff, let's get her going. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? What's your hockey background?
Well, I was born in Westminster, BC, where I currently still live. A nice 55 years ago. Played hockey pretty much in the Lower Mainland growing up. Never really did play New West, but I did play at a couple other places, Richmond and Burnaby Minor, which we went on to the Air Canada Cup Championship from there before I went off and played junior hockey.
Awesome. And what sort of teams did you play? What sort of leagues did you play in?
Well, growing up, it was a little different than nowadays. It's you played for, a minor hockey association. There was definitely a top 20 or so within the Lower Mainland out of the 30 or 40 we have now. And my home association was too small, so I had the options to go to the larger association. So that's what I chose to do. I did that through, I was, pretty much my whole life. I didn't play in New West, and I went to Richmond. My first big experience in a kind of a big hockey environment, where I went from 15 kids on a team to 150 kids trying out for the rep team, and it just went on from there. And I made the rep team that first year and played there for a few seasons, and then I bounced back over to Burnaby Minor, which was a lot closer to our home, and happened to hook up with Hall of Fame Joe Sakic at that time. Danny Lorenz was another draft pick, was our goalie, and that team went on to the Air Canada Cup before we all kind of went our separate ways to play junior hockey.
Yeah, and seeing the numbers he put up as a junior hockey player is pretty incredible. I know Rick Hopper is very proud of you, so you must have had an incredible playing career.
It was good. I know the numbers were good, but it could have been better. I definitely had a few injuries. I did my knee in twice, which put me into a couple half seasons. And when I was 17, I took a slap shot in the face and lost 8 teeth at once, and missed a few weeks and some playoffs there as well. It's a little inconsistency with that, with the injuries back then. But it was very good for the short time it was. A very the BC Hockey League is a very tough league back then. We didn't have. You had different rules per se. We came in and we all just, when I first started junior hockey, we just had a helmet, and time I left, we had a visor on, and a few other things were the instances that happened. But it was a good but short and great experience to definitely go through for sure.
You have a son in the PGHL, and having the chance to play junior hockey like you did, do you often give him advice? Are you sort of one of his coaches? Does he listen to you? I guess that's the real question.
He does listen, which is good, but I try to I don't overstep the boundaries of for his coaches and stuff like that. I don't go in and say, you got to do this more and do that more within the team concept and stuff like that. I let that play out by itself. But as an individual, his individual skill set, for sure, I try to point out things to him that will help improve his, effort on the ice and his ability to, get pucks or retrieve pucks or to score and pass or whatever it may be. Definitely giving him the pointers, but it's usually nothing after game. We never really speak hockey after hockey. It's usually on the way to a game or at home the next day. It's pretty mellow from that standpoint of things. But yeah, he is a good listener, and there definitely is a lot to learn in this game. Getting to that next level of junior hockey, it's a tough go around.
Certainly is a tough go around, and it's also changed quite a bit since you were playing. So what would you say are some of the biggest things that have changed when you were playing hockey to where you are now?
Well, the biggest thing, you got 4 lines that have skill. Back in my day, we had 2.5 lines that had some good skill. We had a line and a half that had other activities to take care of on the ice. And then if we called up guys, we had usually 2 or 3 guys that were playing junior B that could definitely play a role in the game that is not happening in this day and age. This just doesn't happen anymore. But the overall speed of the game has changed. You have to skate whatever position you are, first line, fourth line, the guy that's sitting out. Everybody has a skill set now, and I think that's the biggest thing. That's what makes it hard. And we look at, oh, we don't have 50 goal scorers, we don't have high end goal scorers, guys getting 2 or 3 points a game, because everybody has skill. You don't go up against a third line where the guys are just out there with a stick to put you down. Everybody can skate with you, and it just makes it a lot harder and a lot less ice to get to the net with.
Well, the one thing I'd love to know, Jeff, is how you first met Rick Hopper.
Well, I was in the BC Hockey League already. I was playing in Richmond for the Sockeyes back the year they actually won the Centennial Cup, and I got traded that year halfway through over the Delta, and I finished off the season in Delta. And then the start of the next year, we went through a coach, I think, in the first few games of the season, and Rick Hopper came in, and he was my coach there. As we first met, I think I was 17 at the time, and played for him for that year and the next year. And then our team got sold up to Powell River, and I was one of the first 5 guys to go up there, become a paper king, and that was a great experience. Kind of what we're doing here, that first adventure to a place that's never had junior hockey. And we've been off and on for the last long time, 35 years plus, that we've been communicating back and forth and talking. In the last probably 4 years or so, 5 years, just I think before COVID, we got hooked up again when he was looking at getting back involved in junior hockey. And he knew I was always involved with minor hockey and being a president of minor hockey in the Lower Mainland for a number of years. And it just reconnected, and that's where we stand today. We've been pretty much talk almost every day, every other day, about something hockey, and trying to develop this team.
Well, you mentioned you were a part of the Powell River team, the Paper Kings, and that sort of leads me to a question that I'm going to ask you now. With the Tsunami also being a brand new team in a brand new area, are there any sort of memories of playing in a brand new sort of environment in Powell River that you think the players are going to have here on the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, they're gonna love it, because you go from an area where you're getting maybe 400 or 500 fans at that time down here in the BC Hockey League, and you go up there, you're getting 700-800 fans. You walk down the street, everybody knows you. You're the only thing in town. The rink is full. Kids know you. You have to give autographs, and you everything. You're always on the spotlight 24/7, and it makes you either like it or don't like it. And the kids that like it can really get a positive vibe from it, and move their needle of how they're going to play. And you go out there and you have a full slate of fans, like we've had at our couple exhibition games last year and our Tsunami unveiling. You have 800 fans, and it's loud in there, and it's going to make these kids just so proud and want to play. And it's going to be a great thing coming to that small town where everybody's going to know your name.
And then another question I'll ask you about being an expansion team, having the chance to be a part of one as a player and now as a member of the Tsunami staff. Were there any sort of ups and downs that you guys faced in that first year? Maybe some challenges, that something you thought would be really easy, or you expected to happen, but maybe it didn't, that you might want to fix now with the new team here on the Sunshine Coast? Any sort of lessons?
So some of it is preparing the kids for the travel. Not only the travel. It won't be as bad because you're not going into the Okanagan and onto these Long Island trips and gone for 6-7 days at a time. But it's just that getting off the bus, getting back on the ice, going to school. It is a grind. You gotta know that when you have downtime, take that downtime. The downtime is not to go and hang out and do whatever. The downtime is to recharge your battery. Back then, we're gonna have a good bus, and so it's gonna be easy to get back and forth, which will be good for the kids. And the biggest thing is just you're gonna have to grind it out when we get to game 35 through 45 before playoffs start. That's the grind right there. The end of January, beginning of February, we can get through that grind. Coming on a high. I think that's what we got to push through.
You talked about it already, but you were a part of the Richmond Sock guys, had a chance to play with them. They were just in the PGHL championship. You were at that game. What did you think about it?
I thought it was a great game. I honestly, I think either of those two teams would have beat our best team, and our best team, we lost to a division final to a team that ended up going to the Centennial Cup. the year that we were in Powell River. And I thought, from front to back on those teams, they would probably have beat us in a 7-game series playing that style. If we were allowed to play our style, that would have been a little bit different. But it was great. It was fast hockey. It was fast paced. And it kind of came down to it, goaltending, defense, and who took the penalties. And if you took the penalties, you got scored against. And 2 power play goals cost them not only the game, but it cost them their season for a team that won 41 or 45, 1, 3, or 2, or whatever it was. It came down to penalties, and something that hurt that team all year was penalties. So but it was definitely a fast-paced game and good size up front for both teams, and that's kind of what we have to build our team for.
Yeah, certainly a lot of exciting hockey being played in that final series. And not a lot of people know this, Notter, but the Sockeyes were actually in the BCHL for some time, British Columbia Junior Hockey League. So that one must have been pretty exciting to have a chance to play in that league.
Yes, it was. It was pretty exciting back then. We had players come in, especially when Rick built the team for Powell River. It was we had guys that never seen the Pacific Ocean before. Unlike now where everybody kind of travels everywhere for hockey, but back then no one traveled. And when we brought a kid in, it was like, I got to take 2 ferries. What's a ferry? And now, these kids, some of these kids fly to games and fly to camps every other month or fly in for training if they live in a small town. So it's going to be a lot different from the old hockey days to the new hockey days for sure.
Certainly is. And another thing that's changed for you is that you're not playing anymore, but you have a new role. You're still in the hockey world, the director of player personnel. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot actually, because I've been involved. I got out of hockey kind of when my junior was done. I did play 1 year of college hockey, and then I was out, played senior hockey, Koi Cup, which was just actually up in Powell River. Played on a team that tried to get that for 3 or 4 seasons, but mid-20s you're kind of out, and you just different things in life, and you start to work and build a family and everything else. And then when I had kids, I got back into it and really got back into it as a parent, and just to give something back to our minor hockey association here in New West. But when this came along a few years ago, and Rick and I were talking about another thing that we're trying to get into, it really kind of like, yeah, you know what, this could be fun. You're getting to that age in life where you know it well enough that you can make a difference for sort of a lot of younger kids. And then when the Tsunami called, I was, yep, no problem. Didn't have to think about it. It is different than coaching and being on the ice and that kind of stuff, but it has been enjoyable, and it's nice just to be part of the game. And so many people that haven't seen in 30 years, you run into in rinks. There's still quite a few people around, so that's pretty neat.
I'm going to put you on the hot seat here, Jeff. Give me 2 reasons why a player should come and play for the Coastal Tsunami.
I think the number 1 reason is the opportunity to develop your game. We're going to be the only team in the league that's going to have 5 practice sessions a week, skill session, 14 practices, hour and a half ice times. Most teams have 2 practices for an hour 15, maybe 3. The odd team would have 4. But we're going to have that development. We're going to have our development center up and running for their physical well-being, for their weights, for their therapy, and the education center for those kids that are in school, that are doing home-based school. We'll have that set up. Plus, we're a block away from the high school for the kids that need to finish school and off there. I think that is the biggest reason. The second is the opportunity they're going to get to move on, to go somewhere else. We don't want to get a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old and have them graduate as a 20-year-old. We want to get a 16 or 17-year-old, and at 18, put them in the Knoll or put them in the AJ or to the BC Hockey League or to the Western Hockey League. We want to move those kids forward. I think that is our goal. And it may mean we have 10, 15 new kids every year. But if they're going into a higher league, it makes our recruiting easier, because kids know they can come here and develop and move on.
For sure. And you witnessed it being a spectator at some of the games on the coast. The players are going to notice it once they hit the ice, but the crowd inside of the GAC is second to none in the PGHL.
Yeah, it is going to be great. I've been up there actually. The first time I experienced this was for a minor hockey game. I got called back into action to help out a team about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I guess it was now. And the first game I had to coach was a playoff game in February against their U18A1 team. And I couldn't believe there was like 350 people there just to see a minor hockey game, TV cameras, and it was loud and stuff like that. And then they had the two exhibition series up there. A year ago with the Pacific League, and it was full. And then it was even fuller for when we unveiled. It is loud. They're passionate. They're very, very educated hockey players, hockey fans as well. They know their game. They know what's going on. Like, we're not going to be able to fool anybody by going in there and saying, "Oh, this is what it's supposed to be like." They're going to expect us to be a competitive team and to not only entertain but to win some games for the city.
There's a bunch of hockey things going on right now. You've got the Spring Academy, the U11, U15 spring team program, U21 spring team, and the 2024 Coastal Tsunami Spring Prospects Camp. A lot going on right now, but I want to highlight the Spring Prospects Camp there, Jeff. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, that has been it's probably one of the first things we talked about. I think we Rick and I started to talk about how we're going to manage it and do it. I would say before we even officially got a team last summer, when beginning of last summer, how we're going to go about finding players and different things. And Rick and I came from a different generation of how you recruited. But we did the old fashioned way, the way we know how. We got out to the arenas. We went up and down the Vancouver Island, not only for the academy teams, for the zone programs, but also for all the junior A teams that are over there as well, to see what they have, see what they're doing, what kind of players they have, and what the styles there is. And then we did the same thing over here. We've been in every junior A hockey rink in the Lower Mainland and Vancouver Island, been to a few up in the Okanagan, and we've seen every academy team from Alberta and BC play, and a few outside of that as well. And we just started to develop a list, from anywhere from a U15 player to U18 player. You kind of got to go through that list. I'm going to say for every kid we have at camp, we probably had 4 kids on the list. So we're going to have 60 plus kids on camp. And I think that works out to we probably had 240 to 200 to 300 kids that we had information on, to be able to get to come to our list. Not every player wants to come to the coast. A lot of want to stay at home. Some have other, we're competing against, other junior A leagues. We have the KI and the BI, and we have ourselves. And overall, there's probably 45 teams. And so you got to be able to sell that. And we haven't played. So what can we sell except for hope right now? But I think we've done a good job. Our camp is almost full. We got a few defenseman spots left and a few forward spots left to come. And goalies are that position is filled already. So it's coming along. We're getting ready for it. We're going to have outside coaches coming in. We got our POE coach that was a part of the U16 program of BC Hockey last year coming up. So when they come to get evaluated in the C, it's just not going to be Brad, myself, and Rick standing there. We're going to have about 6, 7, 8 other gentlemen and ladies scouting, filling out reports on all these kids, so we can get the best 15, 20 kids out of the camp and get them in the main camp.
Awesome. And you guys obviously have an idea of the kind of players you want on the team, but you're also putting a lot of emphasis on making sure you're getting some Sunshine Coast talent. How important is that?
I think home-based talent is big. When we did go to Powell River that one year, I think we had at least 3 kids that were from Powell River that were on it. We had one 15-year-old that played up. Brad Bombardier went on to win a Stanley Cup in NHL. By all means, if we didn't show up in town as that team, he probably would never have made it to the NHL. And he would even, say that's really rode him to where he got. This year, we're looking at, we got a lot of kids coming from the Sunshine Coast to our camp. The U15 team, the U18 team, probably got half of those players coming out to our camp. Plus, they have a lot of kids that are playing in academies and zones throughout the Lower Mainland and BC. They have all accepted invitations to come to our camp as well. So yes, we really want to ensure that we get some homegrown kids out, not only for this year, but down year 2, 3, 4, so we can keep that momentum going and always have, two to three, 4, 5 kids from the hometown on the team.
For sure, and that's certainly very important. And I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today, Jeff. We're almost out of time, but there's always some time to give me an embarrassing Rick Hopper story. What can you give to me today?
There's not a lot. Back in the day, we didn't have phones. We didn't have memories like that. I know he was a tough coach. I could tell you that, but he was really happy for us. I remember one trip we came back. I don't think we didn't do very well. We were playing out at Delta Flyers at the time, and it was a Sunday night, and he says, "We're all going out. Everybody's going out." He got the bus. He took us out, and we went down to a local establishment, and everybody's having some drinks and having fun. We didn't realize though after that he came back and he bag skated us, and something you're not going to be able to do these days. He put the bucket in the middle and we skated until someone lost their cookies, and didn't take long, but it was he knew what buttons to push to get us to be together and become together as a team. And it seemed like it was a bad, like in this day and age, oh, you can't do that kind of stuff back. It actually brought the 23, 24 guys together. It brings them together when you can do that stuff. It's, I guess it's a bad thing in this day and age, but back in the early 80s, mid 80s, you're allowed to do that, and you're allowed to skate after games. And then one other story, we got blown out by the Nanaimo Clippers in the old Memorial Barn downtown by the water. And he went and he told the Zamboni guy to stay off the ice, and we lost 10-1. And we got out there, and he lined us up on the goal line, and we skated, and we used to do sets and lines for every time we got a goal scored against us, regardless if we win or lose. And this was Powell River when we were in Powell River at the time. And so we're back in the Nanaimo, and we're skating one line. And all of a sudden, some of their fans came back in. The next thing you know, they probably had about 100 fans cheering us as we skated for 45 minutes after the game. So, yeah, he was old school, and he's still pretty old school, but he's honest and he's upfront, and it's black and white for him. So it's I'm glad that he's here, and he'll make this thing run right.
Well, you're going to be a big part of that too, Jeff. That's Jeff Nottingham, the Director of Player Personnel for your Coastal Tsunami. Jeff, I appreciate it. We're going to make sure we get you back on the show soon. Thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.